187. There is grace that every dawn renews, a loveliness making every morning fresh. We will endure. We will prevail. We, the children of hope, children of the One, who crowds the heaven with stars, endows the earth with glory, and fills the mind with wonder. Modeh Ani 186, a sense of gratitude, a sense of wholeness, a sense of new beginnings. (188) for those who are joining us virtually. Feel free to go to the PDF of our Siddur, our prayer book, Mishkan Tfilah, open a split screen or bring a second device. Psalm 118, open for me these gates of tzedek, of justice, that I may enter and be present with the divine. Paragraph 2. As you settle into your morning, 194, use your third eye, your inner eye, to do a body scan, just checking out this temple, this physicality, this gift shaped from the earth, a gift from the Divine One, veins and arteries, muscles and bones, organs, all connected in the most miraculous, intricate fashion together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam bechokma, uvaravo nikavim nikavim, חלולים, חלולים, גלוי וידוע לפני כיסא כבודך, שאם יפתח אחד מהם, או יסתם אחד מהם, אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך.
ברוך אתה אדוני, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות.
196, breathing breath, nishima, in, touching soul, nishama.
אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהורה היא. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהורה היא. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי. ברוך אתה אדוני אשר בידו נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשר איש. Amen. 198. We are about to enter into Birkot HaShachar, the morning blessings of gratitude. And you will notice that Alexandra and I will each move at our own pace, finding our own sense of what we are grateful for. I am so grateful for those of you who are here with us today. Of course, those who are joining us virtually, and especially those who feel that they can be back in the sanctuary, in the Beit Knesset, taking just a moment to be aware of our surroundings, of where we are, to notice and to know that there are emergency exits in the back of the social hall on your left, my right. Of course, through the kitchen, you can get to the back entrance of the synagogue, the back left, your right, into the lobby. And behind Alexandra and myself, there is an emergency exit upstairs onto the bima and outside. Also, I know it's feeling very warm outside, but for everybody who's come in, please be really, really mindful. When you're walking, there's still patches of ice. And I notice a bunch of you coming in at a wonderful gate, which I love. Just be mindful in the next few weeks that we're doing our best to clear, but there are patches. So with those announcements, dropping in to this sense of the daily miracles, the real privilege, the privileges that we have, the gifts that are abounding, and using them as the core place of our faith. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech vivina להבחין בין יום ובין לילה for awakening. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Okeach Ivrim for vision. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asuri for the ability to stretch. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Zokev Kifufim for rising to the new day 200. Praise to you, Hatzor, sovereign of the universe, who stretches the earth over the waters. Amen. Praise to you, Hatzor, sovereign of the universe, who strengthens our steps. Amen. Praise to you, Hatzor, sovereign of the universe, who clothes the naked. Amen. Praise to you, Hatzor, sovereign of the universe, who gives strength to the weary. Amen. Praise to you, Hatzor, sovereign of the universe, who removes sleep from the eyes and slumber from the eyelids. 202. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Sha'asani b'tselem Elohim, for being in the image of the divine. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Sha'asani b'chorin, for being a free person. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Sha'asani Yisrael, for being a Jew. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozer Yisrael b'gvura, for purpose. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Oter Yisrael b'tifaraha, for harmony. 204. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, for the privilege and the responsibility of engaging in Torah. Amen. 212. Waking up to the miraculous, the author of creation.
Baruch she'amar
v'haya ha'olam. Baruch hu.
Baruch
she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Baruch Hayem, Baruch mirachem al haaretz, Baruch
mirachem habriot,
Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam,
Baruch oseh v'reishit, Meshalem shachar tov l're'av, Chai v'kayam netzach, Baruch shemo,
Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch. 213. Hareini mizamen et pi lahodot ulehalel uleshabeach et bor'i. With this do I prepare myself to thank, praise, and glorify my Creator. Baruch atah Adonai melech mulach batishpacho. 215.
Ashrei Yoshvei
Veitecha Od Yehalelucha Od Yehalelucha
Hallelujah. Oh, dear Hallelujah.
218, finding Hallel in every aspect of the universe.
Hallelujah, El Bekocho, Hallelujah, Kiauzo, Hallelujah, Bigvurotav, Hallelujah, Kirov Gudlo,
Hallelujah, V'teika shofar, Hallelujah, V'never v'chinor, Hallelujah, 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 Betofu Machol, Hallelujah, Beminim Behugav, Hallelujah, Betil Tzalei Shamayim,
Hallelujah, Tzitzlei Tshuah,
Kol Hashama Tehalel Yah, Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. 224.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabbah Be'alma divrach hiruti V'yamlich malchuti
B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei techol Beit Yisrael Bagala Uvizman Kariv
V'imru
Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Ul'almei Omaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitbar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Tekudesha Berichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Damiran Be'alma
V'imru
Amen. 226. As you are able, we face Yerushalayim standing, making connection with one another. Three things there are together in my eye that keep the thought of thee forever nigh. I think about thy great and holy name whenever I look up and see the sky. My thoughts are roused to know how I was made, seeing the earth's expanse where I abide. The musings of my mind when I look inside at all times, O my soul, bless Adonai. 228. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech oseh shalom uvorei et hakol hameir la'aretz v'ledarim aleha berachamim uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit ma'rabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam b'chokhma asita mal'a ha'aretz kinyanecha Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'aru chasela.
Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir.
V'nizke chulanu meheira le'oro. V'nizke chulanu meheira le'oro.
Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
Yotzer ha'me'or.
230, infinite love, ahava rabbah, avtanu Adonai Eloheinu, chemla gedola v'teira, chamalta aleinu, ba'avor avotenu ve'emotenu, shebatchu v'cha, v'tzlamdeim chukei chayim, kein techonenu tlamdenu, hamirachem rachem aleinu, v'tein b'libeinu, להבין ולהשכיל, לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה.
וערננו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראת שמך ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד כי בשם קודשך הגדול הנורא נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך.
ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. 232, as you are able, we stand together.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. 234. Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvchol nafshecha uvchol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, v'dibartam, b'shivtecha, b'veitecha, uvlechtecha, v'aderech, uvshochbecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam leot, al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot, bein einecha, Uchtavtam amizuzot beitecha uvisharecha. 37. Life without integrity is like loosely hanging threads easily fraying from the main cloth, while in acts of piety we learn to understand that every instant is like a thread raveling out of eternity to form a delicate tassel. We must not cast off these threads, but weave them into the design of an eternal fabric. Each day points to eternity. The fate of all time depends upon a single moment on the facing page. L'man tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yetem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Amen. 239, we pray in the middle of the page responsively. The eternal truth is that you alone are HaShekhinah and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate the other, your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks Hamakor.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to HaShekhinah Most High.
Blessed is
the
HaShekhinah and deserving of blessing.
240, the words of Miriam and Moshe and Bnei Yisrael become our words.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. tehilot, osef ele, nora tehilot, osef ele. Shira chadasha, shibku geulim l'shimcha, al sfat hayam, yachad kulam hodu ve'imlechu ve'ameru, Adonai imloch, Adonai imloch, le'olam va'ed. Tzor Yisrael, Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, Uvteichen umecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kadosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Kol Yisrael.
Amen. As we are standing for the Amidah, so we leave no light between our minds, our hearts, and our actions. It is called Ha-Tefillah, and we become Ha-Tefillah. We become the very prayer that we are speaking this Shabbos morning, 242.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tekilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'Emoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, Bezocher Chasdei Avot Va'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei Vneihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah.
246.
Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach, Umorit hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei metim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech cholim, Umatir asurim. Kahayei emunato li sheinei afar, Micha bal gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol.
248.
Nekadesh et shemcha ba'olam, Keshem shemachti shimo to b'shmei marom, kakatuv aya neviecha, v'karaz el zeh v'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Melech haaretz, kevodo. Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu Ma'adir, Shemcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echadu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, Vehu Yashmienu, Berachamav le'enei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Yitzion, Ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador, Ledor vador, Ledor vador, nagid golecha. Ledor vador, Ledor vador, Ledor vador, nagid golecha. Ulenetzach netzachim, kedushatecha natish, kedushatecha natish. V'shivchecha Elokeinu, mipinu lo yamush, le'olam le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Lai lai la 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 la. La 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 la.
250.
Yismechu b'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Mikadeshei, Mikadeshei shevi Shabbat, kulam yisbehu, v'yitantu metu v'cha Shabbat, yismechu b'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat, yismechu b'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat, chemdat yamim, oto karata Shabbat, zecher למעשה בראשית Shabbat, zecher למעשה Na'aseh Bereshit Shabbat. Yai lai lai, yai 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 lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai
COVID can't take away our sameach, our simcha, yismechu, dancing in our places, a sense of Shabbos, a sense of joy, a sense of delight. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael 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 Chai. Each of us moving through our own prayer. Tfilat Amidah continues through 2:58. When you have completed your prayer on this Shabbos morning, work your way back to your seats. My Creator, guard my speech from evil and my lips from deception. Before those who slander me, I will hold my tongue. I will practice humility. Open my heart to your Torah that I may pursue your mitzvot. As for all who think evil of me, cancel their designs and frustrate their schemes. Act Leman Shemecha, for your own sake, for the sake of your power, for the sake of your holiness, for the sake of your Torah, so that your loved ones may be rescued. Save with your power and answer me.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי
Adonai Tzuri
וגואלי עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום הוא יעשה שלום עלינו יעשה שלום עלינו עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום הוא יעשה שלום עלינו יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ועל כל ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ועל כל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן ואמרו amen. We ask for peace on earth and we say amen. ואמרו amen ואמרו amen. We raise our voice as one and we say amen.
362.
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור אדוני מלך אדוני מלך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום
364.
כי מציון תצא תורה כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים
366.
ברוך שנתן תורה תורה ברוך שנתן תורה תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti uneromema Shemo Yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagidula v'hagibura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod ki ho b'shamayim u'va'aretz ki ho b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamelacha v'mitnaseh v'chol nerosh. Shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam omed, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam omed. Lai 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 lai
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Today's portion is Parashat Tetzaveh. And we are reading from the end of the portion, Exodus chapter 30, verses 1 through 3. Exodus chapter 30, verses 1 through 3. And in your Chumash, you will be able to find this on page 571. And for the first Aliyah, the readings this morning will be done by Ellen Leifer. And Ellen wrote to me before Shabbat and said, I'm not going to be in the sanctuary, but I'll very much be with you. And I want to just say that that is so going to be felt as Ellen does all three of the readings for us. And for the honor of the Aliyah, I ask our Melanie Hill to come forward. Nala Amod Ruach Bat Avram V'Dora La Aliyah HaRishona Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed Amen.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam
Baruch
Va'ed.
Adonai HaMavarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bacha banu mikol ha'amin. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Ushtei Tavot Zahav Ta'aseh lo Mitachat L'zero Al Shtei Tzalotav Ta'aseh Al Shnei Tzidav V'haya Levadim Laseit Auto Bahema Vasita et Havadim Atzei Shitim V'tzipita Otam Zahav V'natata Oto Lifnei
You'll do the first one next.
Haparochet Asher Al Aron Ha'edut Lifnei Hakaporet Asher Al Ha'edut Asher Iva'ed Lecha Shama V'hiktir Alav Aharon V'ketoret Samim Baboker V'hetivo Et HaNeirot Yaktirena Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torat emet V'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. So you just heard the second aliyah, and now we're going to go back to the first aliyah. So Yesher Kochech, Ellen, both on the honor of being called, Eta Nalamod Eta mi Beit Moshe v'Yocheved, and the honor of reading. And now for the honor of the aliyah, as Ellen continues the reading, we will go back again now to chapter 30, verse 1 on page 571. Nala Amod Ruach Bat Avram Vedora La Aliyah HaRishona She'anachnu Nikra Ki'ilu HaAliyah HaShenit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'asita mizbeach miktar ketoret atzei shitim ta'aseh oto ama'orko v'amarochbo ravua yiyeh v'amatayim komato mimenu karnotav V'tzipita oto zahav tahor et gargo v'et kirotav saviv et karnotav v'asita lo zer zahav saviv.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torat emet וחי העולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Pausing for a moment to hear the prayer for healing. Yesher kochech, Melanie. Much strength, much strength, much strength. 371, as we pray these prayers for healing for these members of our community, as soon as Alexandra pauses, we'll begin by adding the names that we're holding in our hearts, and then she will add the names on our list.
Mi sheberach avotenu ve'imotenu Avraham, Yitzchak ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel ve'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim.
Susan Bosch, Susan Worthman,
Arnie Zappel, Yisrael Aga, Amanda Batista, Susan Bosch, Susan Becker, Jenny Bryan, Tom Burrows, Amelia Byers, Audrey Cohen, Jay Cohen, Joe Cohen, Robert Cook, Robert Cohen, Carol Cooper, Del Corvin, Tyler Corvin, Louis Costello, Bob Davis, Yehuda Ben Leah Vechaim, Laila Batieta Moshe, Hanif Fine, Phyllis Fillmore, Ellen Futterman, John Gautier, John Gross, Ron Hall, Darren Jacobs, Judy Jacobs, Deb Kalish, Lee Kalish, Les Calmus, Seth Kerr, Susan Klamberg, Andrea Klein, Mary Jane Klein, Lou Klein, Buddy Krakowski, Lisette Landon, Jeff Levine, Jack Levy, Jeff Lukash, Malka Levine, Stacy Lynn, Stevie Linworth, Lana Ogrom, Moshe Yosef, Joe Michaels, Stephanie Payusko, Rick Peruso, Carla Friedman, Eli Idovitz, Rivka Bat, Esther Ve'Ephraim, Tony Rosenstein, Robin Stone, Elaine Trott, Beverly Ushkow, Ellen Vogelov, George Wells, Ben Wilder, Phyllis Wolfev, Sue Worthman, Gretchen Zimmerman, and all on continued healing read last evening. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem Lahachlimam Urabotam Ulachzikam V'yishlach lahem Mehera Refuah Shlema Min Hashamayim Refuat HaNefesh Urefuat HaGuf Hashta B'agalav Uzman Kariv V'nomar Amen.
And for the third aliyah, I call Alexandra Schleuder. Nala Amod HaChazanit, Alexandra Bat Yitzchak Miriam, La Aliyah HaShlishit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Notin HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Uvha'alot Aharon et Hanerot Bein Ha'arbayim Yaktirena Ketoret Tamid Lifnei Adonai L'dorotechem Lo Ta'alu Olai Ketoret Zara Ve'ola Umincha V'nesem lo tischu alive. V'chiper Aharon al karnotav achat bashana midam chatat hakipurim achat bashana yichaper alive v'dorotechem Kodesh Kedoshim Hu Ladonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And for the honor of Hagban Glila, I ask P to join me on the bama. Nalakum, please rise.
Vezot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael api Adonai v'yad Moshe. Torah, 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 Ziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Ziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Ziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Ziva lanu Moshe. Ki mitzion teitei Torah, udvar Adonai Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion teitei Torah, udvar Adonai Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion teitei Torah, udvar Adonai Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion teitei Torah, udvar Adonai Yerushalayim.
The Haftorah will be found on page 577 of the blue Chumash, and if you are following in a different kind of Tanakh, it is Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 10.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'v'Moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amo u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen. Atah ven Adam Haged et Beit Yisrael et habayit vayikalmu ma'avonotehem umadadu el tachnit ve'im nichlemu mikol asher asu Surat Habayit Utchunato Umotzav Umovav V'chotzorotav Ve'et kochukotav V'chotzurotav V'chotorotav Hoda'otam Uchtov le'eneihem Vayishmeru et kol tzorato ואת כל חוקותיו ועשו אותם. זאת תורת הבית al rosh har kol gulo saviv saviv kodesh kodashim hine zot Torah habayit.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik bechol hadorot ha'el haneman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber umkayim shechol devarav emet v'tzedek al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanviim ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lichavod u'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarachim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid leolam va'ed Baruch ata Adonai mikadesh hashabbat.
Amen. This Ezekiel Haftorah is just so stunning. Pay attention to the very first word, ve'ata. We studied this Tuesday morning. Our portion today, Titzaveh, uses this word ve'ata 3 times in the opening to indicate that Moses, the portion in the Torah, that Moses is responsible for these 3 things: the preparation of the oil, the designation of the priests, and the selection of wise and talented people. Ve'ata, you take responsibility. And then what I'm going to show you today as we look through the portion is I'm going to show you how the rabbis identify and understand that this ve'ata is really the responsibility of each and every one of us, not just Moses, but each of us. And I love this Haftarah because not once but twice it makes reference to us, and it describes us as B'nai Adam. B'nai Adam, literally the children of Adam. But the way we translate is this B'nai Adam, in our mortal state, human beings that we are, imperfect that we are. B'nai Adam are the opposite of celestial beings, so the opposite of the divine one, or the opposite of HaShekhinah. We, as we read this portion, recognize that we are just human. And that's beautiful and wonderful in our reaching for the sacred. And that's what this portion is about. How do we clothe ourselves with integrity, with dignity, with practice, with discipline, so that we can lift up, so that we can, in our very mortal and limited sense, be the best that we are capable of being. I have to throw a shout out to the committee members that we call them the house committee, that take care of this synagogue, right? The ones who make sure that the lights are working, that the boiler's working, that the grass is cut and that the ice is taken away. Of course, it's also our custodian, our wonderful caretaker, but it is also behind the curtain, this wonderful committee of volunteers. And you should know that too is sacred work. This section is called Torah Habayit, the Torah of the house, the law of the house. Because you know what? We can't take for granted that this synagogue will be standing. We have to make sure that it's standing. And that is both the nuts and bolts of the house committee, as well as the generosity and the presence of everyone, and no less, of course, the Spirit. And I'm going to be addressing the Spirit today. I'm going to take you back for a moment, but from a different vantage point, to something that I looked at with my Tuesday morning studiers, because it's worth a second glance. As I sat with it, I felt that it needed to be lifted up yet again. So if you would go to the beginning of the portion, chapter 27, and you'll notice the very first word of the portion, ve'ata, and you. And we had a wonderful discussion, a lively discussion Tuesday morning about the you and how it is both Moses and the you and how it is me and you, each and every one of us. But I wanted to focus specifically on the word Vayikhu Elecha. I'm sorry, let me do one thing before I get to Vayikhu Elecha and say, this and you, Moses, and you, Melanie, and you, Marilyn, and you, Vicky, and you, David, before we get to the you, just think for a moment back to where we were last portion. In Parashat Truma, in 2024, we hear, well, it's worth your going back. Go back to chapter 20, verse 24. Chapter 20, verse 24 of Exodus. It will be more powerful if you see the words 2024 and you hear, oh, there is no 2024. I'm sorry, 22. Oh, gosh. Okay, I may have to, okay, I see it. It's 2021. Can't read my handwriting. Mizbeach Adama Ta'aseh Li. Mizbeach Adama, an altar of earth, Ta'aseh, you shall make Li, for me, says the Eternal One. An altar of earth you shall make for the source. An altar of the earth you shall make for the source. And then go with me to 25:2, and it says in 25:2, and you know this one quite well, and I did spend time on it last week, but I'm focusing on a different word. 25:2, we hear, V'ikhu li truma, take for me, says the source, says God, says the Holy One, take for me. And then 25:8, Ve'asu li mikdash, make for me a sanctuary, that I may dwell in your midst. Li. It's all about the source. It's all about God, or the connection being, guys, do this stuff on earth for me, says the Divine One. But not in this week's portion. In this week's portion, we hear, Ve'ata, now you. And let's go back to this, and I'm now on chapter 27, 20. Ve'ata, now you, titzaveh. Now, this is startling to the rabbis. How did we go from the last two portions where everything was about li, for me, says God. Now you take unto you. The Ramban looks at it rather technically and says, yes, that's right. Moses should take to him, to you, because it was Moses' job to check the oil to make sure it was pure, that it was processed right, that it was proper. Abravanel goes farther and says to Moses, to benefit Moses now, specifically Abravanel says, this is about Moses, or it's about each of you. Before I asked you to build this place on earth for me, now find your place in the midst. But Abravanel pushes it further and says, it's not just about you, Evie. It's not just about you, P. It's about you and all the generations that will come after you. It is both personal, it is immediate. I'm having a really hard time reading my notes from this morning. It's in this life, but it is also for the future. And I want to talk to you here about this idea that, that we hear. First, I'm going to bring in this next section, and I made reference to it last night. The Shemen Zayit Zach Katit Lamaor, the pure olive oil for burning, Leha'alot, to raise up, Ner Tamid, an eternal light. And we always think about the eternal light, the light that originally was always filled with oil, olive oil, pure olive oil. It always stayed burning as a sign of the divine presence. But now this morning, I want to look at it not necessarily as the divine presence alone, but specifically about the way that we light up the divinity within ourselves. This idea that the lamp, the light, is not about God's presence, but about the guidance that the light brings for how we need to live. There's something very beautiful in Talmud Menachot 86bet and Vayikra Rabbah 31:7, where the Talmud goes out of its way to describe the source, God saying, I don't need your light. I don't need your fakakta light. I have the sun. I have the moon. I have lightning. My light is everywhere.
Fireflies.
But you need the light.
Fireflies.
Sorry, fireflies. But you need the light. My light is evident. I don't need that Ner Tamid, but you need it. And so, taking this moment to think about this idea of the Ner Tamid, yes, a reminder that God's presence is everywhere. That little light that's burning is nothing compared to the light that I feel beaming in from the sides of the windows, but that light that the house committee, that you are responsible for keeping lit, is the beginning of this journey of how we keep the sacred engaged, animated, connected, and lit within ourselves. So this is where I wanted to begin the Eilecha, and now I do owe, especially my Tuesday morning studiers, that we go deeper. And I love this. Really, the portion's not about the opening passages. In fact, what we hear in this portion is about the construction of the ark, the table, the menorah, the altar. all of these things that are the daily functioning of this sacred place. How do you keep it going? And that's why I said a shout out to the house committee, right? And I want to look at, I do want to look at this word to get there, to look at the second word of the opening of the portion, 27:20, ve'ata titzaveh. Ve'ata titzaveh. And you know this word from mitzvah. The root is tzivah, litzavot, to command. And the rabbis ask, you know, a lot of the preparation up until now was daber, speak to the people. Amor, say to the people. But when it comes to this portion, we hear titzaveh, command. Command. So I'm going to ask you, why is there a command word here as opposed to daber, speak, or amor, say? Thoughts? It's not a request. I love it, Dave. It's not a request. Give me one more sentence. What's not a request? To do what? To take these actions, come in, do the stuff. I'm pushing you even farther. What's not a request? This place. You know what? You think, my kid was already bar-mitzvahed. I can take a break from this place. I don't have any kids. I can take a break from this place. You know what? I really would like to take that trip. I'll take a little hiatus from this place. This place is a pain in my tuchus. I'm going to take a break from this place. And we do not get that luxury. It's a command, Dave Rosenthal said. There's a commanding voice to this place. Okay, I love it. Why? We know, Dave, that you can be in touch with the divine anywhere. A Jew doesn't need the place. This is an oxymoron, right? You don't need it. You can speak to God. You can pray to God in your home, in your backyard, on a hilltop, by the ocean. You don't need this place. Then why? Why is it a command like Dave says, Evie? Evie's saying because it's not just about God and you, it's about your community. Thank you, Ev. Minyan community, because, and this is a great, I've been saying this for the last 2 years around COVID, like everyone wants to know about my freedoms, and everyone should be asking about not what do I need, or what do I want, or what shall I do, but what do you need? And how do I respond to what you need? I don't want to do X, Y, and Z, but you need me to. That's why I do it. I'm okay, but maybe you're not okay. Maybe that's why I get vaccinated. Maybe I'll survive, but maybe you won't. And I get vaccinated not because I want to or I don't want to, but because you need me to. The community. And this is very important. There's one more piece beyond community, and it is the generations. And I say this, and I want you to look specifically at 21. We hear from evening till morning, before the presence, chukat olam ledorotam. It is a law, an eternal decree, as Dave said, but not just for you, and not just for community, as Evie said, but ledorotam, for generation after generation after generation. Guys, you're not doing this for you alone. or even for your community alone. You're doing this for that connection from generation to generation. So now I'm asking the question that you so beautifully answered. Why is this mitzvah when the other stuff was daber, speak, emor, say? But this is commanded. And it's tied up in that it's not a one-time deal. You don't get to make a one-time donation. It is an ongoing commitment, and not just for you, but for generations past and future. I'd be remiss if I didn't go a little bit deeper. And I love Malbim on this issue, and he opens by saying, Titzaveh, mitzvah. Mitzvah is just to indicate enthusiasm. Like, say, speak, I'll do it, I won't, but you're commanded, like, right? It always tickles me. People who are like nowhere, and then Brit Milah, the mitzvah, there they are, and then they're nowhere, and then bar mitzvah, and there they are. Well, you know what? The tzivah, the commanding voice, has power. The commanding voice is present here. You are commanded, Malbim says, and goes back to our theme, now and for all time. Great, so lovely that I'm looking at this, but actually, one of the biggest sections of this is not even about that, but about the priestly garments. Now, Evie and I are always checking out what the other person's wearing, and so we're all about the priestly garments. But seriously, what is this? Like, we don't care about this externalities in real life. What is this? From 28:1 through 28:43, there is this specificity of what the priestly garments are supposed to look like. It's a little bit off-putting, I'll be honest with you. This is very sweet for me because this portion really sticks in my mind because it was our son Nir's became a bar mitzvah on Parshat Titzaveh. So I always think about what it was for me to study this portion with him. And he's a grown man at this point, and in his third year of medical school. But in those days, as a 13-year-old, he was a little bit of a jock, and he got this portion, and I was thinking, oh, this is a hard portion for a 13-year-old. Not for him. He stepped right into it. He wrote this whole teaching about uniforms and how uniforms make you feel part of something bigger, a team, how they make you feel like filled with a sense of pride, of authority, of capacity, of purpose, of identity, right? You wonder about that. Think about when you've watched these young people become a bar mitzvah and they are cloaked with, draped with, wrapped in their talis by their parents, and you literally watch them grow in front of you. I had an experience, working with Alexandra, who became a bar mitzvah here and then went off into the world and then came back to work here. And in the beginning, she was up on the bima doing her thing, figuring out who she was here. And then one day she started donning her talit as the leader of this community, as part of the clergy team. And I realized that she had stepped into her role fully. She was no longer dipping her toe in and saying, let me see what I think about this. She put on her talis not as a 13-year-old, but as a chazanit, as the leader of the community. And the talis became her and she became the talis. Listen, her leadership was there before she put the talis on. Let's go back again to what I'm asking. In our community, it's your choice. Some people sit in the pews and wear a talit. Some people don't. Some people sit in the pews and wear a kippah. Some people don't. So it's not that one has to. So let's look again. The priestly garments, according to the Ramban, Nachmanides, should be seen both on a surface level and on what the Ramban describes as a mystical level. On the surface, it enhances dignity, the sense of bringing respect, mindfulness, intention. And on the deeper level, it brings the sacred, or identifies the sacred from within. We do this dance of wrapping ourselves, cloaking ourselves in both the physical garments, but in the dressings in and around us. And they light up what's going on within. Benno Jacobs says the clothing distinguishes a civilization, and specifically for us, it's a mark of consciousness and a use of the clothing to uplift the sacred from within. He makes this point that a lot of the clothing was made from or, ayin vav resh, or being leather. And we spell or light, aleph vav resh, yet another homonym. It is the dressings to light, the dressings to lift us toward the sacred. And back to what I shared with you with the Haftorah. We are not endowed with being a celestial being. We are just B'nai Adam. So these cloaking, these garments, these priestly attire are really the guide to enhance and to uplift our connection with the sacred. And I want to look at one more piece before I move us to closing here. And I'm going to ask you to move with me to chapter 28, verse 30. This is one of those priestly garments that neither Alexandra nor I nor you wear. Let's hear about this for a moment. Into the breastplate of judgment you shall place the Urim and the Tumim. Well, when I was a little girl, we did belong to a congregation that had a breastplate on the Torah. And it's quite beautiful. It has like 2 chains. And ours, we have this like beautiful stuff here. But this would be like the way we have the chains go over, and in front of the Torah was a breastplate. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen that in other synagogues that you go to, and when you read Torah, you have to take off first the pamonim, then the yad, then the breastplate. Well, in the biblical times, the breastplate was worn by the priests. And I love describing this. According to the Torah and the Talmud, this breastplate had an opening like this. It was all gold and silver, and there was a compartment inside. It had an opening. And inside that opening, the priest would wear on themselves the Urim and the Tumim. What are Urim and Tumim? Well, Urim comes from light, or, and Tumim comes from tam, wholeness, pure, complete, unscathed. Yoma 73 Bet says, what is true, or the answers, and oral law has it that individuals could come with questions. You want to ask the rabbi, but the rabbi can't actually answer. But supposedly, the priest would wear this breastplate with the Urim and the Tumim with beautiful gems and gold and letters. And if you asked a question, the letters of the answer would light up. The Urim and the Tumim, the parchment, written, what was written on the parchment? The ineffable name of the divine, the divinity. Like we knew how to write God's name. That was written in the parchment, and you would ask whatever question you wanted, and the answer would light up on the front of the breastplate. Evie's smiling at me. You know, I'm intrigued by it. Not so much for the answer, because we already know, and I've taught you this in the past, these answers are as baffling as the questions. And we have a great tradition that said that when this happens, this is an example. I've told you this before, but this is a great example. The Vilna Gaon says when Eli the priest brought the question of Hannah, he asked the question, and the breastplate lit up, and he saw the letters Samech, Chaf, Reish, Hey, and he said, she's a shikorah, she's a drunk one. But he didn't understand that he was reading them in the wrong order. The letters this is like a puzzle. He sees Samech, Chaf, Reish, Hey, and he says she's drunk. But actually, he should have read Chaf, Shin, Reish, Hey, she's kshara. She's fit, she's appropriate, she is carrying with her the divine message. So how it lights up is not the question, Evie. It's not hocus pocus, it's not miraculous. It is this idea that if you stay close to this community over generations, if you stay close to this teaching, if you keep yourself engaged in the lighting of the Ner Tamid, that becomes the answer. Not that someone's going to give you an easy answer, Ev, but the act of staying engaged itself becomes the light, becomes the answer, becomes the way of life, which becomes the answer. All of this is predicated on having a chacham lev, a wise heart, and a nadiv lev, a generous heart. I wish you had your own mic, because I feel like I should be the one to say that on Shabbos. But get Evie during the week and ask her what she said as the closing comment. Page 374. Yahalalu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado.
ארץ ושמיים, וירם כרם לעמו, תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל, עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה.
כי לקח טוב נתתי לכם תורתי, אל תעזובו.
עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה, דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש, חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Tomorrow morning at 9:30, our Zimit Learning Adventure, our religious school. Next week, I am here throughout the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for all of my classes. Chai with the rabbi on Thursday morning will happen at 8:45, from 8:45 to 9:15. If you're looking for an opportunity to just hang out with me and speak, I will be there. And Dave will call me at 8:30 and remind me. Next Friday, February 18th, Kabbalat Shabbat. I will be here on the Bima with rabbinic intern Jack Sherritt. Our wonderful Alexandra will be in her davening institute, always learning, always growing, always bringing new things back to us. Saturday morning is Tat Shabbat next week at 9 a.m. and Minyan at 10, and following Minyan, confirmation class will be meeting here. We're going to be adding the words Ve'al kol b'nei Adam into our Kaddish. That's our community service. We're always out in the world doing things for other organizations, and once a year I ask the young people to come and do something that is labor intensive here. So that's where a confirmation will be on Saturday morning. Just in case you sometimes wonder, what are the efforts that the community of Tikkun Olam is doing here for us? Zemer is coming back after a little bit of a winter break, excited to resume rehearsals. The two upcoming rehearsals are February 22nd and March 15th. Those are both Tuesday evenings from 5 to 6:30. There's wonderful stuff happening. Be in touch with Alexandra in anticipation of holidays, of Shabbat, but also just of being involved in creating the music, the real soul of our worship. Please, if you have been involved in the past, be here. Bring your neighbor, bring your friend, bring another member of the congregation. And if you've never yet been part of Zemer, this is what you want to do. Believe me, it's fantastic. Purim is coming up in our second Adar, Adar 2. This is a leap year, as you learned from me last night. We're in Adar 1 right now. In Adar 2, March 18th, save the date, in anticipation of Purim. We are on top of our Mishloach Manot. We're all, everyone who wants to be part of this, rather than delivering 30 or 40 gift bags, we have a sort of a secret Mishloach Manot process. I sign up and then I get assigned one person, I give to one person, and I'll receive from one other person. And it's just a delightful way for us to be connected. Please sign up if you haven't. These are just wonderful programs that we have cultivated over the years, and you want to be part of it. And additionally, this congregation is so committed to Tikkun Olam, repairing the world as a way of life. And we can't come to Purim without delivering Mishloach Manot to a neighbor in need. This year we have identified seniors in need, and please check the website and your email to learn what it is that we will be providing for them. Welcoming and membership invite you to be part of the really beautiful, audacious hospitality of being a greeter. It's even more important during COVID so that we can really help to keep everyone safe, reminding everyone about their masks, checking vaccinations, and helping with the social distance seating. I want to thank Susan Hirsch, who had a double mitzvah. She was here last night with her husband Stephen, and she's here again this morning. She made sure that I knew that she was doing a double duty, Friday and Saturday. And I love it. Alexandra and I are all about double duty. And Barry, we get it. But in all seriousness, Susan, we couldn't do this without you. And for all of the people that are volunteering, thank you. And for everyone in the synagogue, it really is our hope that 98% of the people will be part of this. Do it once a year, do it once a season, do it once a month, do it once every 3 months, but be involved. If more people did it, it's good for you, but it's also good for our community. So I want to thank everyone for doing that. CEHV's Food Access and Food Security Initiative is ongoing. If you're here today, please take one of the brown paper bags as a gentle reminder when you shop to also pick up for our neighbors who don't have equal access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And if you're joining us virtually, please check the website to see how you can be involved in a regular way. The protocols for being indoors with us are on our website. If you have any questions, please call the main office, call me, call the president or any board member. We want you to be here. The synagogue is open and it is safe and it feels safe. So I urge you to read the guidelines, see if they work for you, and remember that as spring is around the corner, we are really eager to fill our sanctuary safely with all of you wonderful members. Standing together, we move to the Aleinu, page 580, 587.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. 591. Rise up like the sun, O source, over all humanity. That light, cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe, not because you need it, but because we need it, with joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה Ushemo echad.
We remain standing, page 594. Why should I wish to see the source better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24 and each moment. Then in the faces of people, I see HaShekhinah, and in my own face in the glass, I find letters from Hamakor dropped in the streets, and everyone is signed by Hatzor's name, and I leave them where they are. For I know that wheresoe'er I go, others will punctually come forever and ever, holding your loved ones for whom you are saying Kaddish during your Shloshim, your month, and your Shana, your year, holding Kaddish for these loved ones who died in seasons, in this season in years past: Mildred Block, Harriet Carroll, Robin Cohn, Matthew Corvin's cousin and Michael Corvin's niece, Lillian Feldman, Joan Hoffman, David Hoffman's mother, Rose Jaffe, Sandy Giordano's mother, Harold Kay, Doris Mandel, Honey Fine's mother, Gertrude Markle, Linda Sumber's mother, Frances Nuremberg, remembered by Gail Levy, Paul Nuremberg, remembered by Gail Levy, Matilda Wolfe, Felice Gassul's grandmother, Mildred Wolfe, Felice Gassul's aunt. For those named, and for the martyrs of our people who left no one to say Kaddish, for the people of every race and nation who lived their lives as a blessing to humanity, we affirm 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach irute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'isman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ulalmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'tadar v't'aleh v'talal, shmei d'kudesha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol b'nei Adam ve'imru.
Amen.
Amen. We close today with page 677. It is an affirmation of goodness.
Of miracles, mercy, and life, hold us, Selah. Protect us from danger, keep us from harm, hold us, Selah. Creator of wonders, compassion, and hope, hold us, Selah. We give thanks for all that is good. Hold us, Selah. Hold us, Selah. Hold us, Selah. Give thanks for all that is good. May God, who is gracious, be gracious to you. Hold us, Selah. Protect you and bless you and care for you. Hold us, Selah. For all that you are and all you hope to be. Hold us, Selah. We give thanks for all that is good. Hold us, Selah. Hold
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledorotam berit olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Oti le'olam Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledorotam berit olam Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash shavat vayinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledorotam berit olam Savri Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri hagafen amen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz Amen. L'chaim, everybody. Shabbat shalom. So thrilled that everyone's here. Thrilled.